Hi there, I'm Omkar, and today I'll be demoing CalcGPT. So we're starting here on the landing page, and I'm just going to press this button to get to the product. And you can just sign in with Google. Now once you sign in, you should end up here. So initially you'll get this pop-up to personalize your experience. So I'm going to go ahead and click personalize. So this is create your study plan, and I'm going to go ahead and click create. And you have two options. You're either preparing for an exam or self-studying. I'm going to go ahead and click self-study. Next semester I'll be taking linear algebra, so I'm just going to type that in. You can click next. And on this slide you can select your dates and what days you want to study. So I'm just going to go ahead and select until the 9th. And I'll select all days. Next, you can select a YouTube playlist. So I have this YouTube playlist pulled up, and once you found one you like, you can just copy the URL and paste it in. And now, custom instructions. And now I'm going to feed in some context about my plan so it can make it to my liking. Once you've done that, you can click Generate Plan, and it'll do it in the background for you. The next step is to personalize the AI responses. You can use a slider to select how concise or detailed you want responses to be, what tone you prefer, what learning style you prefer, what math level you are, and what your goals are for using CalcGPT. And then you can enter. Now that you've personalized, you should see this menu pop up. And this menu should pop up every day for you once you log in, which is basically an agenda based on the plan you created. So every day you have a new agenda of things to cover. You can click Let's Get Started, and it'll open up the calendar UI. You can start topics just by pressing Start Chat Session. You'll then receive a response in whichever style you prefer. Basically cover that topic for that day with you. To access the study schedule, you can click the Apps button and then Study Schedule. You also have other components such as the concept overview, where you can get a quick summary of the topic. You have videos which come directly from the playlist, and you may have graphing activities. For example, these are primarily going to be activities that are centered around observing and interacting with a graph. You also have this main calendar where you have all of your activities and topics sorted, and you can click ahead to any day. And this overview gives you a good idea of the topics for every day. You also have these options to adjust the schedule to your liking, and you can click the trash can button to start over with your schedule. Now that that's covered, let's overview the UI for CalcGPT. To start, in the bottom left you have your chat input, and you have a few options in the bottom. If you click the upload button, you have 3 options for screenshotting, which basically takes an image of any tab or window you select on your computer. You have computer, which allows you to upload images and PDFs directly from your computer. And you have phone. Phone allows you to scan a QR code on your laptop and open it up on your mobile device. And that allows you to send an image directly from your mobile device to your computer. Let's say you're working on a notepad paper. You can take a picture of that notepad and send it directly to your laptop chat. As you can see, in the computer, it basically sent immediately, and you see the image here in the chat area. And it closes the tab automatically on your phone. Let's cover how to input math text via the math input keyboard. If you press this button at the bottom left, the math symbols button, you'll see this pop up to enter a math expression, and you'll also see a math keyboard allowing you to input math expressions. You can also just type some common commands. For example, if I type the letters INT, it'll input this integral symbol. And then I can just navigate via my keyboard, input whatever I want. And that'll, once I press done, that'll input directly into the chat. And I can ask any question like, how can I solve this? Next, let's cover the two different modes of chat. If you see this toggle at the bottom left, you see a book icon and a calculator icon. These two modes are to distinguish learn mode and answer mode. In learn mode, you can chat with the AI in a Socratic way that encourages you to explore and understand concepts It asks you questions, and bit by bit, you come to an understanding by collaborating on problems with the AI. And interacting with it in a Socratic and educational way. Answer mode is when you're solving a problem and you want to see how the AI would fully solve that problem, so you can get an idea of the methodology to use to solve that sort of problem. I'm now going to demonstrate both modes of interaction. And I'm going to use the same problem. Another thing I'm going to demonstrate is the whiteboard, which you can see on the right side of the screen. I'm going to draw this problem. It's the same one I typed earlier. The whiteboard is useful because you have all these tools and shapes here, so you can create the drawing you want. And that'll send directly to the AI via this chip you see here, which will indicate that you're about to send a whiteboard update to the AI. You can also input any query or specific question you have. I'm just going to ask, how do I solve this? Notice that I selected learn mode here. And so it's going to be more focused on asking me questions and helping me to solve it. It shows me a graph, and it asks me a question about the power rule. Now, if I switch to answer mode and regenerate that response, notice how this time it instead used a code execution method to ensure its mathematical responses are accurate, which is something unique we do. In CalcGPT, we use a method to ensure all of our math responses are accurate. Additionally, it responds using Notebook View, which lays out all of the steps to solve the problem and gives an explanation for what it's doing in that step specifically. And notice it outputs the answer. So it didn't really push me to solve it, but it allowed me to see how I would solve that problem and all of the steps it takes to solve it, along with the explanation. Let's overview the different components we have on the right. We have the whiteboard, which I already covered. We have Desmos, which allows you to input graphical components, for example, y equals 3x plus 5. And that'll input via this Desmos chip right above the chat, and you can send Desmos updates. You also have a TI-84 calculator, which allows you to perform mathematical operations how you would in And it's the same calculator you'd use in your math class. So you can sort of use that to gauge how you would do different things. Finally, now I'm going to demonstrate the app suite available in CalcGPT. If you go and click the apps button here, you'll see we have 8 available apps. Note that all of these apps are really just accessible through the chat if you just ask, for example, can you check my work on an uploaded image? Or can you create a practice quiz? Can you create a practice exam? Except study schedule, all of these apps are pretty much accessible through the chat. But I'm going to demonstrate how these apps are useful. I'm going to start with check my work. I have an image of some work I completed, and I just want to go ahead and check it. So I'm just going to drag it over and then ask it to check it. So it generated a standard response, but also note it triggered this awaiting grading tool here. As you can see here, it basically drew boxes around the image I just uploaded. And so you can hover over these boxes and see specific feedback for each step. And this sort of allows you to visually see where things might have gone wrong in your math problem. Now I'm going to demonstrate the Create Practice Exam feature. We're just going to start a new conversation. Let's do one on Linear Algebra Unit 1. We'll do 10 multiple choice questions and 2 free response questions. So notice it added this generate practice test tool here, and you can just click the button to generate it. And once it's completed generation, you can just click view practice test and it'll open up in a new tab. The practice test will suggest a time which you can adjust to your liking, and it has the amount of questions we wanted. So it's nice because it's like a standard exam environment where you're not going to have the help of any AI, but you can just take the exam in this environment, and once you've completed it, you can submit the test. And obviously I didn't answer any questions, but it'll give you your score, and it'll also tell you topics you've mastered and topics you need to review. Furthermore, for free response questions, you have an option to grade your answer with AI to get an idea of how well you did. Now I will demonstrate the PDF companion feature. And so you have 2 options once you've uploaded a PDF. You can send the PDF in its entirety, and it'll take that into context, or you can hover over the chip and press the expand button. What this will allow you to do is you can see and draw on each page individually, and so you can essentially collaborate with the AI in this space where you can work on the problem alongside the chat and then ask it for feedback or ask it for a hint, etc. And so in this expanded view, so I'm just going to go ahead and solve this problem to demonstrate. And so I've gone ahead and solved it, and now I'm going to ask for feedback. Check my answer. And so it'll just send that individual page which you are on or may have annotated. As you can see, it gave a visual here. And it checked my answer, and yes, I got it correct. If you wanted to send the full PDF, you simply just need to retract the expanded PDF and just send the message. Now I will demonstrate our demo creation engine, which essentially allows you to create a game or animation or demonstration so that you can interactively and visually see a mathematical component or practice something. The best way I can explain is just to show you. So I want a related rate simulation in the form of a hot air balloon game. In 3D. As you can see, it gave me an option to generate an interactive animation, to which I'm going to press yes. The demo creation takes about 3 minutes, and as you can see, it's finished generating. You can interact with it directly in the chat, or you can press this expand button. The simulation in this instance allows you to visualize how the different rates are changing of the triangle relative to the hot air balloon. The interesting thing is you can pretty much ask for anything in Imaginarium. It's pretty cool. Now I'm going to demonstrate practice MCQs, which is essentially like a practice quiz with hints. I'm going to go ahead and ask for something on limits, CalcGPT. I'm going to ask for 5 questions. So it generated the response, and as you can see, it's a button to generate the quiz. Once the quiz is generated, you can just press Show Quiz, and it'll show in the right pane. So you can answer the questions, and it immediately gives you feedback once you click on an option. Additionally, you have the option to see a hint for that question. If you get it wrong, you get a second try. Once you've completed the quiz, you can see your score, and it'll also tell you topics you should review based on what you got wrong. Now I will demonstrate flashcards. I'm just going to ask for some derivative rules. And you can click Show Flashcards once it's generated. This will open it similarly in the right pane. This allows you to practice different terms and things you may need to memorize. Also, you can ask for questions in the flashcards if that's how you prefer to learn. Lastly, let me demonstrate the Find Videos feature. It's pretty useful to quickly have videos to see directly in the chat, and it'll just find a video for you. It's nice because you can do things like practice problems from the video in the whiteboard directly. And that concludes our review of CalcGPT. Thank you for watching this video.